For those on the call, welcome today, and thank you for joining. My name is Jeff Moser from Cordicate IT. I am the CTO, and we have kind of an exciting demo today and an overview of a product that we've had on our portfolio for quite a while now. We've just deployed to thousands of endpoints and end users. It's a product called Exclaimer, and Exclaimer. I'm sure that we'll get a little bit of a background information from them, but just to kind of start off, it started off pretty much as a signature management software for us, allowing us to enable our customers to provide unique and consistent content on email signatures across their entire organization. And it's really kind of evolved since then to include a lot of marketing and demand gen features that our customers have found very, very helpful, kind of going past the just here's a signature type of thing. So just wanted to give that quick invite. I'm going to hand it over to Ximena from Exclaimer, who is going to give a kind of an overview on Exclaimer.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you for having us. As Jeff mentioned, my name is Ximena Sintes. I'm a regional partner account manager here at Exclaimer. Very happy to be supporting Cordicate in their journey with Exclaimer. As Jeff mentioned, Exclaimer is a solution that allows you to amplify your email signatures. It's really a way of centrally managing email signatures and really using it as more of a communication vehicle for marketing elements as well, to really promote your brand and your messages that you may want from a corporate perspective. So what we'll cover today is why standardize emails, email signatures as a marketing channel, some of our solutions, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Ben, who's also on the line, and he's going to provide a demonstration for you all. So does this resonate? So signatures can be time-consuming, complicated to manage when doing either, through Outlook settings or mail flow rules. Disclaimers are important, of course. Many organizations are required to have legal disclaimers. And if you delegate the responsibility to individual users or maybe have to have your IT teams setting up mail flow rules to set up disclaimers, it could be very costly. Or, if you're delegating it obviously to the individual user, it could be incorrect. Same thing with branding. When you delegate that to the individual user, people are going to do their own thing, use the old logo, use the wrong colors. You don't have obviously the opportunity to really understand if your recipients are engaging with your signatures or have insights into how they're being used. So some of the typical challenges that you have without a solution like Exclaimer to centrally manage and control email signatures is, as I mentioned, right? You could have employees creating their own thing. So you have inconsistencies across the board. If you're asking employees to copy and paste their templates and share them, you're probably going to have an issue with people forgetting to update their phone numbers or their titles, so it could be incorrect. And as we all know, email is such an important part of our communication, of our everyday interactions, that really having a wrong title, a wrong phone number could be really unprofessional and really give a bad representation of the organization. Not to mention that obviously you have, you risk obviously from a legal perspective of not having the right disclaimer on email signatures. And then, the team could not be so technical. So, it's hard for mail flow rules to be applied outside of the technical team. So what can Exclaimer do? How is it different than delegating the responsibility to each individual user or delegating the, email signature management to an IT team? Exclaimer is an intuitive, easy to use, has an easy to use drag and drop editor, as you guys will see that Ben will demonstrate here shortly. It allows you to apply, one template, a consistent template across every email, regardless of the device that you're sending through. You can have multiple templates based on different groups or rules that you set up in the system. It allows you to have obviously the right message on every signature, have those correct legal disclaimers. It allows you to really use that really important piece of email, I guess we call it real estate, to boost any campaigns that you may have. So, include important banners, include any important events that your company is going to, promotions as part of your email signature. It's a really nice way of including some soft messaging that you may want to include in your organization. And then, of course, to highlight any new product releases or updates that your company may be promoting. So again, it's a marketing vehicle as well. So I touched on some of these already. So you can really boost campaigns and drive conversations with email signatures. You can create different templates based on your campaigns, add promotional content. You can schedule those campaigns. You can schedule those banners and those promotions that you want to include as part of your signatures. You can target specific audiences and have personalized messaging. And then you also have the ability of having A/B testing as an example, which you can set up in the solution. Emails are also an incredible vehicle that you're not necessarily competing for the recipient's attention, right? They're personalized, they're trusted. The person that you're sending an email to is very likely to open it. As we know, email is a big part of our everyday. So the statistic here is that close to 20% or more than a quarter of our day we spend reviewing emails in the corporate world. When you're sending an email, there's zero competition. It's your own channel, right? Nobody else is competing for that viewer's eyes. And the click-through rate is much higher in an email, so from 3 to 7%. And now we'll go into a little bit of the two solutions that we'd like to share with you today, Standard and Pro. So the Standard solution really has all of our key functionality, and then our Pro is our kind of upgraded offer that includes additional scheduling and advanced kind of scheduling and promotional items, as well as analytics. So these are some of the main differences. With both Standard and Pro, you have something that we call server-side and client-side configuration, which means that regardless of how you're sending emails, you will have the ability to centrally manage, have an email signature imprinted on your emails. You'll have access to our portal where you can control and create new email signatures. There's one of the main differences between Standard and Pro is under the Standard solution, you have the ability of having 10 different email signature templates. So, you could have 10 different groups that have 10 different signatures. Under Pro, that is limited. Some of the other differences as well is we have a feature called User Editable Fields, or UDE, sometimes we refer to it. With the Standard solution, and what that really is sometimes Active Directory doesn't have all of the information that you require to pull into an email signature, and UDE, for example, like a pronoun or a mobile phone number, and UDE gives you the option to include those additional fields as part of your email signature. And then some of the other differences, and I'll let Ben demonstrate it rather than me talk through it, is the dashboards that are available as well. So you'll have some of the analytics on the Pro solution versus on the Standard option. And then over to you, Mr. Ben.
Can everyone see my screen there?
Yep, they can now.
Yep.
Excellent. So this is the solution when you log in. Ultimately, you can log in through Microsoft SSO or Google SSO, depending on which way your users go or you go. When you get into the portal, the main thing that I wanted to go over today for everyone was just how to design a signature kind of from scratch to give you an idea of what that looks like. So when you get into the signatures, you can see the full breakdown of all the signatures that you have available that you might currently have created. But we're just going to set one up here kind of from the start. You can utilize template designs as a jumping off point that our team have already created for you, or like we'll do today, just come in and create our own. We'll choose our table layout, and then we're into the actual editor here. So at the start, you want to pull in some contact details, right? So the great thing about this is we synchronize with either Google Directory or Azure AD so that all those details, when I pull some of these in, will be synchronized exactly with the layout that I have. So I have display name, job title, company name that pull up under my personal fields. I can select my drop-down menu though and choose any of those attribute fields that I'd like to utilize. I can add extra fields. I can remove fields as I see fit. And then I'm going to put this in a single line layout just for kicks. And we'll throw in some separators here, my pipe separators. So since I'm the logged in user, you can see how this preview down at the bottom is showcasing my information. But the great thing about syncing with your directory is that we can then search for any user inside the company, and we can see that dynamically change for that individual so that their information is represented. So I'll add some extra contact fields in here. Maybe a cell phone, a telephone number, a website. This is really a static text box, and all these fields automatically hyperlink on the back end. So I can create, if I'd like to, reference labels. If I'd like, I can choose an icon if that's something that I want. I can bring in my own icon from my desktop to utilize that in our software. Whatever works best for you, it's fully customizable to meet those needs. So I'll drop these in as a table format here, and then we can see again this signature starting to take shape, right? The great thing about this preview panel as well is I can click on these links and have those drive through to the hyperlink that I have that set at. If I click on the email, it's going to log up my email, my default that I have set to there. And then I can also come over here and in the text area, I can edit these hyperlinks if I need to. So if I need to click on that, I can click in and edit that hyperlink as I might need, right? So that it takes us through to wherever we want it to go. One thing, if I switch back here too, that's very neat about the solution is when you're creating these signatures, not everyone's directory is going to be populated with the same data, right? That would be a miracle in any organization of any size. So one thing that we do is we have conditional visibility that we default to. So if I go and replace that user with myself, you see I don't have a mobile number that's present in my Azure AD. So I actually remove that icon, we remove that reference text, and just shift those lines up accordingly. If I go back to my example user of Karen Green, she does have a mobile number present, so it'll populate that data accordingly. So you don't have to create a signature that's for your mobile users as opposed to, people that just want their telephone. That will all be populated as you see it there. Now let's bring in some images, right? Let's bring in some company logos, maybe even a banner. I can just, again, drag and drop that in from the left. You have two options when doing this. You can link it to a privately hosted URL, or you can upload and embed the image. Now, I generally suggest to upload and embed the image. It just makes things a little bit more consistent. I'm sure we've all received those emails where it says right click to download picture, and that can be an option or a possibility when you're linking it to a URL. But if we upload our image here, we drop that in, then we have that showing and represented accordingly. And now I'm going to bring in a banner here too at the bottom just to add a little bit more context to it. Again, just uploading and embedding the image. And I can drop that in. Now with the spacing, you can see that's a little bit off maybe from where I want it. I can click on my banner here. I can then come over to my padding option, and I can now add maybe 10 pixels of padding, or if you'd rather work in point, you can do it that way as well. But we'll just throw 10 pixels on the top, 10 on the bottom, just to keep it simple. And then we'll bring in maybe a disclaimer, a compliance statement. This, as you can see, that wraps a little wide. That's going to expand and contract based on the window that it's viewed in. If it's viewed in a cell phone, it'll contract accordingly. A desktop, it'll expand. But maybe I just want to bring that in. We state at Exclaimer that the optimal width for both a cell phone and a desktop is about 450 pixels wide. So I'll just bring that in and wrap that in nice and tight there. And then the last little piece of the puzzle, social media integration is getting more and more part of our signatures every day. So we can bring in a social media strip, and I can choose from any of the icons. Exclaimer syncs with all the main players of the day. We can also have it link dynamically to my company name. But if I want, what I can do is I can go then into, let's say, like my LinkedIn extension here. And one thing that I did on the back end, just to make this a little more dynamic, was I created, with that user details editor that Ximena was speaking to before, I created that LinkedIn extension field. So it will actually drive my customers through to my personal LinkedIn page. So this can be a really cool feature for some of those that you want to utilize a more, personalized touch on their email signatures, and then have that dynamically change for each user that it's being sent out to. And of course, all the main things that you would think a solution can do in terms of fonts, sizing. Maybe I want to bold my display name, italicize my job title. Even if I wanted to utilize like a custom font, I can come right up here to this manage button, and then I can bring in and load any TTF, OTF file type and bring that into the solution. And then one last thing that's really cool is too, if I want, not everyone's going to have that corporate font, that custom font available to see. So if I send that out to a recipient, they don't have that available, I can revert back via a font stack to one of these internet safe fonts, maybe an Arial or something that's going to be consistent on the far side. So it's always visible. And that's really the gist in terms of the editor, right? You see how in maybe 5-6 minutes we were able to completely create a signature. Now, obviously, I've been doing this a while, but once you get the grasp of it, and even as you're in there playing around, whether it's with our trial or the full rolled out product that you have the access to, you can see how easy it is to build and configure a signature. But let's save our changes here. And then we can go in and actually set up who gets to send these signatures and when, these deployment settings. So if I come in and edit my rules, the first thing I want to do is establish who gets to send this signature. So I can simply check the box for everyone in the organization. This is where I always like to make the joke. I promise we know how to spell it, Exclaimer. We are just a British company, so we spell organization with an S here, but I promise they mean the same thing. So if you want that to go out to everyone in the org, simply check the box. We can also do it by group. So we synchronize with distribution list, mail-enabled security groups in your Azure AD. So if you'd like to specify a group there, you can just simply search the group and it'll populate accordingly. Same thing, if you have multiple domains, you can easily set up a signature just for the certain domain that you'd like to apply the signature to, or by email address, however you want. And then lastly, my favorite feature is the advanced query option. So this gives your users the ability to come in and actually set, or not your users, I should say, but those admins, those editors in the portal, the ability to set parameters on how to send these out. So maybe I want this to be, let's change this to city again. We'll say my city is Denver. I'm located here in Colorado. So let's say my job title instead of is contains, and we're going to say marketing. So now anyone with marketing in their job title in my Denver office is going to have this signature applied just as easy as that. Okay. Same thing when it comes to senders, applies to exceptions as well. This would, of course, be whom the signature is not applied to, but you can do it again by grouping, sender, or advanced query. If you want to get even more specific, you can have this set up for internal communications as opposed to external communications. So you have a special signature for those internals, maybe a more concise version of that signature. You don't need all the bells and whistles of the banners and logos. Or if I'm doing a lot of communication with a specific vendor or B2B communications, things like that, I can come in here and I can make a specific signature just for those communications. So include a specific domain and have that send out to whomever you'd like to. Date and time range, pretty straightforward, but let's say I wanted to roll a holiday banner. The 4th of July was just before us. So let's say I wanted to have that going on. I could have a turn on, turn off date and then reference that so it's set to turn on and turn off at those specific times. And then finally, this enablement. This is where you check the box if you want this to go out server side. Server side is going to give you the full power to apply a signature across all your different users' devices. So whether they're sending from a cell phone, a tablet, whether those are iOS or Android, literally any web-enabled device, any email client, as long as it's routing through your 365 tenant, has the potential to have that signature applied. Okay. And then the client side can work in addition to that. There's no difference in cost or pricing, which one you want to go to or both. The client side just gives you, if you saw me pull up my email there, the ability to see that signature present when the user's composing the email. This right now is available on desktop and laptop computers. And actually later on this year, we've already been promised by Microsoft, they're opening up their API and our developers are already ready so that this client side will actually be available on mobile devices as well, which is a really cool feature that'll be coming in the fall. And that's really the gist, right? Everything that I've gone over so far is available right out of the box in what we call, what Ximena referred to previously as our standard package, okay? So that's something that you get, you see all the options that you would have available to you, but a few extra additional features that we have available in what we call our pro level tier, one of which, if I go back into my designer here, is a rotating banners feature. So instead of just bringing in like one image file into our signature, right, we could come in, click on that images and icons, and then I have this extra rotating banners box. I can now drag up to 15 different image files into my signature. All the main players of the day are utilized, PNGs, JPEGs, JPGs, even GIF files if you wanted to bring those in. And then you can set those to maybe change randomly every time a signature is generated. Maybe you want to have those go out in a specific order or at random, hourly or daily. However you want to set that up, you can achieve that. We also have a headline content area. So a lot of times we have clients that want to use this for like new messages as opposed to replies and forwards, but you can drag in a header there, maybe a banner or something that you want to bring in as a part of that headline content. Then you have the body text, of course, and then your signature down at the bottom. So this is a really cool tool that you can come in and bring that a part of, just to give a little bit more accessibility, a little bit more glitz and glamour to that email. Then if I go on a little bit further, save my changes and come into my actual rules selection here, this is where I can get into my advanced date and time range as opposed to the standard date and time. So this allows your users to plan basically the whole calendar year in advance. So I've had clients that I've worked with that came in and set up the holidays for the whole year, right? So that they had those referenced, maybe any conventions or shows that they were going to, had those signatures applied with those applicable dates. And then they can just sit back after the start of setting that up and just let that run and they never have to worry about it again. So this is a really cool feature to get really granular, really specific in terms of those intervals on when those signatures can go out. On the back end side of things, a feature that our IT departments really enjoy is what we call our user details editor. Now, this is a URL that you can send out to all the users in the company if you'd like. They can then sign in with their Microsoft single sign-on, and it takes the responsibility off editing certain details in Azure AD or in that Google directory off of the IT department or HR or whoever might manage that, and puts it actually back on the user. Gives them a little more capability of personalizing this. This is available in that Pro feature if you'd like to utilize it. Sometimes, we have differing opinions. If you want to give your users that kind of control or not, it's completely up to you, whatever works best. But I don't have to now go in and create an IT ticket if I want to go by Ben in my signature as opposed to Benjamin, right? If I got married this weekend and I had a name change, I can now go in and just make those changes myself and not have to worry about having to wait on IT or somebody else to get to a ticket to do that. This is also where you see that LinkedIn extension field in the back end of my LinkedIn extension. I created this field. This is obviously not an Azure AD field or a Google directory field. So you can create up to 100 additional attribute fields with this user details editor that then Exclaimer can utilize for the purposes of your signature. So mortgage companies, banking institutions, people that have lots of different data that needs to be referenced that an attribute field or a standard cutout from Azure or from Google can't give you, we can give you those extra attribute fields that you can then utilize in your signature. Importantly, with this feature, this does not write back to your Azure directory or to your Google directory. This is going to be something that is only specific to Exclaimer for the purposes of that email signature. Okay. And then the last feature, the icing on the cake, if you will, is our analytics data. So this is a twofold process. This gives your users, or again, your marketing team, whomever it may be that's managing this from a design perspective, the ability to go in and see the click-through rates on not only the signatures as a whole, but also those banners. Maybe you want to try out some different branding, some different features or productions, things that you might want to attain. You can put those links into your signature in that rotating banners feature maybe, and then select a specific date and time range, a custom date and time range that you want to reference. And then you can see exactly what banners got clicked through or what areas in the signature your end recipients are engaging with the most. Okay. If we scroll down a little bit farther, we see the overall template performance. So how are those are coming through and being utilized and engaged with on a recipient level. And then on the back end, you have your usage engagement. Now this shows you how your signatures are being utilized, right? Are they going out via server side, via client side? What domains am I emailing the most within my organization? Of course, times of day and days of the week that you might be sending this out as well, just so that you can see the dynamics of that and see, when is it best to roll out a new signature? When should you be emailing the most or have that most dynamic signature in play? Importantly as well, we send you the mailboxes that might be going out without signatures. Maybe this is something that you've designed and you have service accounts, things like that don't need a signature present, or you'd want to actually come in here and see if there's some signatures or some mailboxes, I should say, that are falling through the cracks and are not getting a signature applied. So all of those extra features, rotating banner, headline content, advanced date and time range, user details editor and analytics, all available and a little bit more in that Pro package tier. And then of course, everything that I showed you previously available right out of the box in the standard package. And that's really the gist, right? I like to keep it short, keep it brief. I know we show a lot of information there in a very short amount of time. So at this point, I can turn it back over to Jeff and your team, Ximena, if you have anything to add as well.
Yeah, we have we have the live event Q&A open if anybody has any questions. Ben, I was wondering if maybe you could show the engagement stuff, like the ability to click on a rating and things like that within a signature real quickly.
Yes, our feedbacks. Yes. So in the signature themselves, good point. So this is actually available out of the box as well in our standard package. And it's what we used to refer to as a power up, quote unquote. But basically it gives you the ability to have almost like a Google feedback or analytics or Yelp review right there in your signature. So if I click on this feedbacks tool, I can then bring in one of these icon sets. These would be the two that are available in the standard package, just your kind of cut-of-the-mill happy faces or a star rating. And then if you have the pro level tier, you actually get this customer thermometer dashboard, which is actually an entirely separate dashboard that then gives you access to a whole slew of back-end possibilities. But ultimately, just on a base level, what I can show you here is you input this into the signature, then you can click on one of those star ratings. We'll say, I got a gold star today, and it'll take you through to a page where then your user, your recipient, can leave a little bit of feedback, okay? On the back end, you can set this up under my analytics and my feedback analytics so that I see exactly how these are being reported on. What users, what departments are getting the best ratings here, of course. And then I can even set up email alert notifications so that, if I get a gold star, maybe I want that to go right to the recipient of it or the sender of that email. Whereas maybe if it's a little bit more negative review, I'll have that go through to a line manager or a superior so that it can be addressed accordingly and responded to. Same thing with the comments and the notifications there. That can either go through straight to the end recipient or dynamically to a line manager or someone there. Also, one thing I'll throw in as well, Jeff, that you didn't mention, but you made me think of it, is our Calendly integration and Outlook calendar integration. So again, straight out of the box in the standard package, if you have, a Microsoft bookings that you utilize or Calendly, you can simply just drag that link in here and then create that bookings page accordingly so that you have it available. Of course, with any of these, you can also hyperlink them on the back end. So you can set that up however you'd like. If there's another calendaring solution that you might utilize or scheduling solution, you can just simply go in and edit that hyperlink and bring in whatever image you'd like. Good points.
Another question. The one thing, and there's a couple of different types of people on this call. One of the things we always try to get across, and Ben covered it a little bit, is the ability to separate or designate certain roles for signatures. So IT's part of this is essentially getting the back-end connection set up in Office 365, which are done very, very quickly. Once that's done, it's almost kind of a set it and forget it with IT, maybe providing some support for the actual development of signatures and who gets them and how they go out, etc. But there is very, very good training both for IT as well as, potentially in a marketing or HR group to manage this fully moving forward so that this kind of comes out of IT's hands. And that's been really valuable for a couple of our customers where we just want to get it set up and then pass it off to their design department or their marketing department, and we can control those roles as far as who has access to what.
Yeah, exactly right, Jeff. To that point, I like to, when I get on calls, a lot of times it seems like I talk to IT first, right? They're the ones that come in and kind of set this, spearhead it, and definitely are needed. You basically just need global admin permissions to allow for the different deployment options. If you're going with the client side, it's as simple as going to your Microsoft 365 store and deploying an integrated app that integrates with Outlook and OWA. If you're going with the server side, it's a slightly more complex where we're going in and writing in some mail flow rules into the mail flow, but everything is done via remote PowerShell. So we have one-time access on a setup call with myself or Jeff's team where we can go through and help you out in that onboarding. But one-time access to go in via remote PowerShell, it's a simple click of the button for IT to give those permissions, and then everything is set up on the back end for you without much sweat. I heard one of my agents today actually just said that it's kind of like a car wash, right? In and out in about 10-15 minutes, and everything's set up for you, and you're off to the races. And then to your point, Jeff, you can hand it off to your marketing team, your design teams, and let them work their magic.
Excellent. Well, one other thing I'll throw out there for the way we've used it in the past and the way a couple of other customers have used it, where Ben mentioned that there could be several active signature templates out there. There is a tool which, Ben, I don't know if you're not set up for this. Don't kill me for for throwing this out there. But there is a signature tester where, and it's on the left-hand side there, where if you have multiple signatures set up and active for users, you can use this tester to verify which users are going to get what signature, and it kind of gives you like Ben's showing right now, it gives you an email template box where you can kind of type a demo email and from a to and a from to see how it gets analyzed, and then run OK, and it will show you what signature would be added to that specific email based on the content you get into it. So another kind of cool thing, if you've got multiple departments that want different signatures, or maybe there's some power users, they're going to have access to more fields within their signatures than others do. It's just a really customizable and friendly to use product, because it's all web-based, all graphical. There's no like any kind of coding or anything like that, unless you actually want to get into reviewing the HTML versions of the signatures, which you have the ability to do as well. So I just wanted to make that point. I don't think I had anything else. You covered almost everything. I don't know if Ximena has anything else.
Nothing else from me. Just a gentle reminder that that we offer obviously the 2-week trial that you could reach out to the Cordicate team for. So we definitely encourage you to request that.
Absolutely, and once again, either Ben or our team can help with the initial setup during that trial. The nice thing about the trial is it is a try to buy. So if you in that 2 weeks get everything set up and want to send it out to the entire organization, we just convert your trial to a full license and you're good to go.
Excellent. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for having us and letting us demonstrate the solution to your customers today. We're hoping that we were able to demonstrate everything that can be done with an email signature. I know sometimes people don't realize all of the value that an email signature can bring. So hopefully you saw all of the great features and functionalities that are available through the Exclaimer platform.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We will be following up on the giveaways separately from this event. I hope you have an excellent day, and we'll be in touch to talk about further interest in moving forward with this.
Thank you all. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you all.